Hey everyone, Ace of Clay here and welcome to another video. If you are new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. In today's video, we're making a mummy. If you haven't noticed, I brought some friends. Hope you like them. These are actually Christmas decorations, those Telco robot things from the 80s and 90s that I turned into creepy dolls. If you want to see how I made one of them, I put a link to that video in the description box below. So yeah, in today's video, we're making a classic mummy. This is another huge request that I've been receiving for a very long time. And really quick in other news, I started a Facebook group called Aces of Clay for anyone and everyone that enjoys sculpting and or looking at sculptures. Since launching on Monday, we're at over 1,000 members already, and that's awesome. If you would like to join, just check out the link in the description box below or search Aces of Clay on Facebook. And the reason I did this is I wanted to create one place for my subscribers and followers to sort of come together, talk about sculpting, ask questions, give and receive feedback, and really just to enjoy a nice, positive, encouraging environment. And so far it's doing pretty well. I think people are liking it and it's blowing up with art left and right. So like I said, check it out next time you're on Facebook or click the link in the description box. And I'm sorry for not calling it Snakes of Clay, by the way. All right, now I think that's all I have to say, so let's make this mummy. Alright, first step, armature. We're just going to shape out the mummy's legs and torso from this 12 gauge aluminum wire. And because I want him to be a little emaciated looking, I'm making his waist extremely skinny. So that's why I'm shaping it out this way and not just my normal rectangle shape. And then I am connecting it in the middle with some floral wire. And as always, all of the materials and tools that I use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. Now I just added his arms and I am attaching those with some floral wire as well. And just like that, we've got an armature. Now I'm going to shape out his torso from aluminum foil and then cover that with some Sculpey ultralight. Instead of attaching it with masking tape, I'm just going to press it into the space in between the wire, like so, and then add some more to make sure that it's nice and embedded in there. And then like I mentioned in my last video, the reason I'm using the ultralight is because it creates a nice solid structure to add clay to, as opposed to just adding the Super Sculpey straight onto the foil. I love this method. I loved it with Frankenstein, and I'm gonna love it with the mummy too. And it also doesn't crack in large pieces, which is great. And then like I mentioned earlier, he's gonna be really skinny, so I'm not worried about bulking any other areas up with aluminum foil. I'm just gonna add the ultralight. And I would like to apologize in advance for any poorly framed clips or clips that are out of focus in this video. This is the first time I've used my new camera on the sculpting portion, and it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. So if you could bear with me, that'd be awesome. Then once everything's covered in ultralight, it's time to bake this. And then once it's baked and completely cooled down, we're ready to start adding clay. I will be using Super Sculpey Original. And I'm just adding it in nice even sheets that I'm pressing out in my fingertips. I also run some sheets through my pasta maker, and I just get all of that ultralight completely covered. And then here's a nice close-up of me getting some new clay. Now back to covering. Then once all the Super Sculpey is added and fairly smoothed out, it's looking pretty good. Now we're going to detail the feet. I'm just going to add some toes here, some nice blurry footage that you can't even see. These are just little balls of clay that I am blending in with the top of his foot, like that. And now it's time to start the wrappings. To create the wrappings, I just rolled out a very thin snake of clay, ran it vertically through my pasta maker, and then it gave me these nice strips here. And the reason why I did it this way instead of just cutting these out of a flat sheet of clay, it's because when you roll it through the pasta maker, when you roll that snake through, it creates sort of like rounded, more organic looking edges, as opposed to when you just cut it with a knife or something, you get a really strong, harsh edge, and I didn't want that. And I suppose there's other ways that you could do this, but this is what worked for me, and I liked the outcome. And then when I'm adding the wrappings, I'm making sure to not make them perfect. I want them to be a little uneven, a little crooked, and I want them to slightly overlap each other to get that nice dimension there. Now let's sit back for a minute or so, listen to some music, and get these wrappings done. Then once this section of wrappings is complete, we're just going to roll the textured edge of this sculpting tool on the surface very gently to give it a nice fabric texture. Now we're going to work our way back down and give them some toenails with this tool. I'm just pressing in the shape of them like so. Then once the nails are on, I'm going to go in with my Explorer tool to add some wrinkles for each of the joints, and then take my Explorer tool again to add some little nicks here and there on all of the wrappings. Alright, now let's do a little dance because we're almost halfway done already. Now we're just gonna bake this really quick, and then once it's baked and completely cooled down, it's time for the arms after a quick inspection. Then here I'm just shaping out that wire, getting the arms into the position that I want, and then trimming them to size. And I lost my new wire cutters. How do you lose wire cutters? I don't know, I could lose anything. Now we're just gonna add some super sculpting onto that wire, and the arms are so skinny I'm not worried about using ultralight. This worked just fine. And then the pieces that I'm adding for the arms, these are just snakes of clay that I rolled out and cut vertically without going all the way through so that it's easier for me to wrap it around the wire. As you can see here, there we go. Super easy and super effective. Now it's time for the hands, and I can say with all honesty, after making hands pretty much every week for the past year, I don't hate making them as much anymore, which is nice. And I actually enjoyed making this guy's hands, and I make them a little more detailed. And then a lot of people ask me why I only give my fingers 4 fingers, and I really don't have an answer other than it's like kind of my thing. It's my style. It's what I like, and it's one less finger to sculpt. Alright, so then after cutting the fingers out of that oval shape and shaping them out, I am adding the thumb and the ball of the hand as one piece, and then blending the ball of the hand in with the rest of the palm with my spoon tool. Now we're going to add some nice little joints. These are just little flat circles that I added to the joint area, and I'm blending them into the rest of the finger with my firm detail tool. Like that. Then once those are done, we're going to go in and give them some fingernails. Now I'm going to go in with my Explorer tool to add some wrinkles to each of the finger joints. And there we go. We got his first hand. Time to attach it. Just want to position the wire first, trim it, and then add some Bacon Bond into a pre-poked hole so that it's easier to add to the wire. Like that. Brush off the excess, then blend the clay in. And then after making his other hand off camera, we're just going to attach that one too. Then once the hands are looking pretty good and the fingers are positioned, we're going to go in and add some more wrappings. Wow, check it out. Now I'm just going to add some Bacon Bond to the cured area so that it makes it easier for the wrappings to adhere to it. Now we're going to go ahead and roll on some more texture, and then add some tiny little nicks with my Explorer tool. And he looks pretty good, but he needs some loose hanging wrappings. And to make those, I'm going to use Cosclay. Cosclay is a brand new polymer clay that stays flexible after you bake it. It's really cool, and I kind of wish I would have made the entire mummy out of it, but I never used it before and I didn't want to take any chances. And then here's a piece that has been cured already, and as you can see, it's 100% flexible. It's hard to the touch, but it bends like crazy and it doesn't break. Like even the really thin areas, I'm pinching them together and nothing's happening. Really cool stuff. Now let's see if it delivers for my mummy wrappings. And then I do plan on making an entire sculpture out of Cosclay, so just stay tuned for that. This is just kind of like a little sneak preview of it, if you haven't seen it anywhere else already. But anyway, I'm just rolling out a snake of clay and we're making the wrappings just like we did with the Sculpey ones, and I do texture them a little bit before I add them to the mummy. And we're just going to place them wherever I think they look good. Alright, now he's ready for another bake. Then once he's baked and completely cooled down, let's see that Cosclay work. And seriously, I was very impressed. These pieces are so thin and they're not breaking. Very impressed. Very cool stuff. Now we're just going to set his body aside and start his head. Shaping out the core from aluminum foil and then covering the rest of it in Super Sculpey. Then after pressing out his eye sockets out of frame with my large ball stylus, I just deepened them with my medium ball stylus, and now I'm going in making them a little bit bigger. Now I'm just smoothing over any harsh edges with my fingertips, and then I want him to have a raised eyebrow, so I'm just making that one a little taller and then pushing down the other one like that. Then we're going to add an eyeball, and then after adding the other eye, I decided that I want him to look like he's got one eye closed and one open, so I'm just adding another piece of clay to do that and blending it in with my spoon tool. And the reason I didn't show the eyelids on the other eye was because I end up redoing this, so it was pointless to keep that footage in. After finishing the closed eye, I'm sorry there's like no footage of that because it was all blurry. I'm going in and finishing the other one that's open, adding in an upper and lower eyelid like that. Tiny snakes of clay, blending that in with my spoon tool. I really bombed on recording the face sculpting, I'm so sorry. Now I'm just bringing out his brow bone a little bit more. I think the footage starts to get better after I do the nose, if I recall correctly. Adding the other brow, blending that in. Refining some things with a ball stylus. And then I want to give him a gaunt appearance, so I'm just pressing in the cheek area a little bit, making it a little more skeletal. I'm just adding a little teardrop shape for the nose, and then I'm going to blend that in and then make it really small and pointy. Now we're adding the nostrils with a very tiny ball stylus. And now I'm going to take my spoon tool to press in the mouth area. Once everything's a little more refined, we're going to give him a little frowning bottom lip. Blend that in. Then I'm going to go in with my color shaper to add some wrinkles. now it's time for his ear. We're only giving him one ear. There we go. We got a face. Now I'm just going to gently attach it to the body after adding some Bacon Bond. Like so. Position it how I want, and then we're going to go in with some more wrappings. Then once all the wrappings are done, that's looking pretty good, it's time to bake them. And then once he's baked and completely cooled down, it's time for paint. All of the paints that I use in this video are Folk Art brand matte acrylics. To create this nice dead bluish gray color, I mixed the colors Dolphin, Titanium White, Pure Black, Brown, and Warm White together. Now it's time for the second coat. Then once that base skin color is completely dry, I'm going to go in with some watered down dark gray. This is the base color mixed with a little bit more pure black, just to darken it a little bit. I'm going into all the nooks and crannies on his face. Then once everything's dry again, I'm going to dry brush some lighter gray that I created by adding tapioca to his skin color all over the raised areas on his skin. Now we're going to paint his eye. This is just straight up tapioca. Then we're going to give him a nice little iris and pupil with a small dotting tool. And then now I'm going to go in with a smaller paintbrush to paint all of the wrappings that are close and up against his skin so I don't get any overlap. And then to create this color, I mixed the colors Titanium White, Pure Black, Brown, and Taffy together. Alright, now it's time to go in with the bigger brush to paint the rest of the wrappings. Then once he is completely 100% dry, I'm just going to add a nice antique wash over the surface. This is mauve dust mixed with pure black and brown. I just really want this to sink into all of the little details and age the wrappings a little bit. Then after mixing some titanium white with taffy, I'm going to dry brush it all over the wrappings to bring out even more details. And for those of you who aren't familiar with dry brushing, it's just literally just taking a little bit of paint on your brush and swiping it quickly over the surface. And he's done! Our mummy is complete. Let me know what you think in the comments, and then if you use any of the tips and techniques in this video on your own projects, share them to Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and tag me at Ace of Clay or hashtag Ace of Clay so I can check them out. And that's a wrap. I really hope you like how the mummy turned out. I love him, and I really like how well the cosplay worked for the free hanging wrappings. So let me know what you think in the comments. And then don't forget, if you want to join Aces of Clay, click the link in the description box below or search Aces of Clay on Facebook. I promise it's really cool and you'll have fun. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and then follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Ace of Clay for more content, and I will see you in the next video.